Okay, so the request for transfer process, we had a question about that. The request for transfer process is a window, February 25th through March 11th, where anyone in the district can submit a transfer request to the Office of Student Assignment for any reason. We also have a window that you can click and you can type in the text box and provide any additional information that you'd like. When you look at our other application periods, the magnet year-round, those transfer periods are based on selection criteria. This request for transfer period is not based on selection criteria. It's based on your particular hardship or reasoning. And while, you know, we'd obviously love to approve every single one of a parent's requests, that's not always possible. And so what we have to do is we look at certain criteria. You know, what's the, is it the best interest of the child, which is what we always feel it should be. The impact it would have on the school that you're attending or requesting to, and so forth. And so all of that is in policy 4150 under the transfer policy. So if you want to read more as to reasons our staff would approve requests or deny requests, it's all outlined there. Again, that's policy 4150. And so if staff denies your request during that time period, you would be eligible for an appeal. And so what will happen is our office will contact you, make you aware that you're eligible for an appeal. You will sign up for an appeal date. The process is you will, for your appeal, you have 2 minutes to speak, which isn't a great deal of time, but we also encourage families to take some time to write out their particular hardship. Anything that you'd want to say if you were standing in front of somebody, write it all out, because all of the information that you give us in your original request, in your transfer appeal, and any other documents that get uploaded during both of those processes, we share that all with the board on your behalf in a separate closed session. The board, and Mr. Hegarty can speak to this, we have very long meetings where we sit with the board, they review this information, they debate it, and then they make a decision, a final vote, and then we make you aware of the board's final vote. Virtual tours of the schools. I can reach out to the area superintendent and or I don't know if communications would be working on something like that. But I'm sure we can look at trying to provide some sort of either images or virtual tour. If they have that capability, we can certainly look at that. Why were certain neighborhoods singled out to move to Millbrook High School? As I shared, this would be, there's an alignment between the addresses that are assigned to West Millbrook Middle School. So if you live in that area, west of Creedmoor and north of 540, and your middle school base is West Millbrook, those would be the addresses that we propose to assign to Millbrook High School. We did not look at specific neighborhoods and identify them. We looked at all of the base attendance areas that were in the West Millbrook Middle School base area. So if you're not attending West Millbrook Middle, can these students be added to the stability rule? Unfortunately, that's not what staff has proposed. We can certainly look into that, but that wouldn't be in line with what we historically have proposed with regards to stability. Stability rules would be for students attending the school and then the particular grades. And so you're looking at it, the elementary and middle school, they would be, 5th and 8th grade for a new school, and then all grades for other schools. So so if you are attending, let's say, I think it's Pine Hollow Middle School as a year-round application student, if you haven't attended Leesville this year, you would not be eligible. And unfortunately, we don't do it for rising 9th graders. Great question. Why are you not building a new high school in the northwest part of the county? Land. When you're building a high school, we need a significant portion of land in order to build the school. And so we have been searching and searching. So if anyone has I think it's 40 acres is the minimum. If anybody knows of 40 contiguous acres that are buildable and do not have significant issues or concerns with the topography, we'd love to hear from you. Do we anticipate the Millbrook High School line moving any further west? Staff hasn't really looked at that particularly. I mean, we really only looked at the West Millbrook Middle School alignment for 612. So I don't anticipate at this time moving that line further west. I don't want to make any promises, but staff has not considered that at this time. So just to confirm, all current 9, 10, and 11th graders at Leesville are included in the stability rules. That is correct. Is it possible to expand the stability rules for schools like York and Bailiwick? When you're looking at opening a brand new school, we need to make sure that we have enough students who are assigned to this school. So when you look at expanding stability rules, really try to stay firm on the rising 5th graders if it's an elementary school and their siblings for 1 year only. However, if you do feel like you have a particular hardship, you can submit that request February 25th through March 11th. Are there any ideas from Granicus that the reassignment team is considering? Certainly. Every year that I know that I've been in this role, we have made changes to draft 2, and we anticipate to have some proposals to make to the board. And again, that is based on the feedback we receive on Granicus. There's a question about Pine Hollow giving priority to track 1 or 4 with students in the younger grades at Barton Pond. We would, since the Office of Student Assignment does not make track placements, that's handled by the school principal, we can share that concern with them. Again, as you look at track 1 and 4, which are generally the most popular tracks, there are issues or concerns, right, with making blanket promises for that. So I think the school principal will do their best to try to align calendars as much as possible. I think somebody made a comment about us, Wake County Schools purchasing some land near 540. I believe we did, but when you look at the size of the parcel, I do not believe it is large enough for a traditional high school. So there's a question about busing. So Wake County Schools provides neighborhood busing for your base school, if you're attending your base school, or your calendar application school if you have one for your address and you're attending that school. There is a question, would there be a possibility to look at some possible proposed changes? Certainly. I mean, as we look at the feedback we get from draft 1 to draft 2, staff considers it. And like I said, we do anticipate making some proposed changes for draft 2. do you mean by calendar application school? Calendar application school. So every address is assigned a base school. And so base schools, that is the school that you would register at. That is the school that we will guarantee, unless it has an enrollment cap, for every address. We do offer application schools. So if your base school is traditional, we may offer a year-round application school from time to time, or vice versa. If your base is a year-round school, we may offer a traditional calendar application school. I guess we have a question about the potential changes for draft 2. So when we talk about potential changes, we're not going to share which particular schools would be impacted by the potential changes. So it would be any and all schools that had proposals in draft 1. So we had a question about calendar applications. This is the first year we lost an elementary application option. Why was this taken away? Because when we were opening a new school, we needed to make sure that we had enough students assigned to the school to fill the school. And so we were not proposing to incentivize families to apply to another school with district transportation. However, if families would like to apply for a year-round school, they can do so. If they're granted, they would have to provide their own transportation. So we had a question about proximity. And so with the Leesville High School proposal, the students who would go from Leesville to Millbrook would have a less proximate school. And unfortunately, you know, when you look at the 4 pillars, proximity is only one of the 4 pillars. Student achievement also being one, operational efficiency. And so when we look at opening a new school or addressing crowding at a particular school, or addressing crowding district-wide, which is the driver for this particular proposal from staff. We have capped schools. We do not have the ability to build new schools to handle all of the growth in certain parts of the county. So we need to try to incentivize families to make options or you know, transfer to additional schools, such as a magnet school downtown. And so that's where we're looking at providing relief. Again, I just want to remind everyone, thank you for your feedback. Really appreciate it. The request for transfer period, should you want to make a request at that time, February 25th through March 11th. If you have any questions or concerns about your particular student, please reach out to our school staff. We do have a new senior admin who will be assigned to this particular area. But in the meantime, you can contact Calvin Hooker from our office, and he will help either he'll help you himself, or he will have a staff member help you with your particular situation. We have a question about what would make the board consider changing Barton Pond to year-round. I'm not sure that I can answer that question, but staff makes a proposal based on the data that we have. We work with the municipalities. We have a lot of the information about the new residential growth or lack thereof in a particular area. We look at the current schools crowdings in the particular area, and then we make a proposal based on that. And so as you look at some families who prefer a particular calendar type, if it doesn't meet what staff would want to have in that particular area, we wouldn't make that proposal, but ultimately we would follow the board's direction. So good question. There was, can you please speak to getting more information about Barton Pond, like school start times, what specials would be offered? As we get closer to the opening of the school, when a principal gets assigned to the school, transportation office is responsible for providing the start and end times. They will make that recommendation in the spring. Specials offered would be the same specials that would happen at any other elementary school. You know, you have your PE, art, music, and then opportunities to tour the new school. That would be shared with you if you were assigned to that school. Communication staff and or the school principal and their staff will reach out to you to invite you to events.
If you have any additional questions, you can drop them in the chat. I know I just sent you all Calvin Hooker's information. It's chooker@wcpss.net.
Thank you, Corrali. I couldn't remember his email address. And again, I wanted to speak to the stability rules. The stability transfer period, which will be December, I think it's 13th through January 2nd. Staff will reach out to you, send you an email with the link and the rules. If you do not receive that link in and around December 13th, I would say just reach out to our school staff, to the student assignment staff, and we will work with you to see if you are eligible or not. Just gonna scroll back up to the beginning. Somebody had asked a question about the 4 pillars. So here are the 4 pillars. And there's also more information, more details about the 4 pillars. If you go to the original presentation, draft 1 on slide 113, will also have a more detailed, we'll have more detailed information about each of the pillars. Where can I send the petition collected by families? You can send that to the Office of Student Assignment. Office of Student Assignment will certainly look at that, and we can share it with anyone else to take a look at it. I just wanted to clarify, I know there was some talk about a possible modified calendar preference. Unfortunately, due to state law, we are not able to open new schools on the modified calendar. So in this particular case, the only option would be a multi-track or a single track. year-round. We had a question for the high school changes. Is it likely that they would be reversed in the coming years? So when staff makes a recommendation for reassignment, we have a proposal that we will not reassign students at a particular level within a 3-year period. So I can say for certainty within the next 3 years, we would not be looking to reassign students in and out from that particular area again. We had a question about the stability rules. Would a rising 4th grader be eligible to remain at their current school? According to the proposed stability rules as is, they would not be eligible. You'd have to go through the hardship transfer period, which is February 25th through March 11th. Single track year-round school would not require more students to fill the school. However, when you look at the majority of the students, there's 80% of the students reassigned to Barton Pond are coming from the traditional calendar. And so therefore staff is also making that recommendation based on the fact that you have the majority of the families assigned to the new school, providing that calendar stability for them. And all the students from Barton Pond be placed into a traditional middle school. So we can certainly look at any individual requests that families may make. I'm not sure we'd want to make a blanket change like that, but if there are families with a mismatched calendar, student assignment staff will work with you to align your calendars. And again, if you have any particular questions about your specific situation, just reach out to the Office of Student Assignment and we'll walk you through what your options are. We do not have a percentage of a breakdown of each individual school. Staff just looked at the students who were changing calendars. So the students that went from year-round to traditional. So when you look at that, then the number of students that would be going from year-round to traditional would be about 20%. Is it common for middle school transfer requests to be granted based on calendar alignment? Yeah, I mean, we have transfer requests that are granted at all levels, elementary, middle, and high. And again, you can look at our transfer reports and we can provide that upon your request. And you can see the number of transfer requests in and out of a school, and then if they were approved or denied by the board as well. So if you have not received an email on December 13th about your stability rules, if you're eligible, you just contact the Office of Student Assignment. You can contact Mr. Hooker. If you go to the Wake County website and you click on the student assignment page, there's a Let's Talk link, and that will direct you to your senior administrator for your school, and they can help you as well. Again, if you're looking for information, you can go to the wcpss.net/2022 enrollment proposal for information. Draft 2 will go out November 16th. We'll provide any information there as well. And then you can also look at the timelines in the Draft 1 proposal slides. Give you the slide number so you can go find them. Slide 79 and slide 80 have timeline dates for you. So Granicus is our online feedback collection forum. And so this is where you can go and provide any questions or feedback, and staff will look at and consider any and all feedback that we get, but we'll also try to answer and clarify some questions that you may have. If you're interested in the Granicus link, it's on slide 81 in the Draft 1 proposal. Sure. So here are the dates of the process. So we have the information sessions, which are going on now. Draft 2 is November 16th. This date has not been set yet, November 30th. If it is finalized, we will make everyone aware of that through the enrollment proposal website. December 7th is the final vote scheduled for, at least at this time. And then again, the stability transfer period, December 13th through January 2nd. Really appreciate you coming out and asking questions and providing feedback. Again, please continue to provide feedback on Granicus or any additional questions, and Corelli and I will work to get you answers. So thank you for coming. We had a question about Leesville Road Elementary. So we can go back and take a look at the slides for Leesville Road Elementary and the capacity becoming pretty low. And so one of the things I wanted to point out was we do have a significant number of trailers on the campus at Leesville Road Elementary. And so here, so when you look at this, Leesville Road Elementary has 13 capacity trailers on the campus. And so many of you who've been on that campus know that the trailers have been there for quite some time. And so staff is trying to make an honest effort to reduce the number of trailers on that campus. And so with the opening of a new school, that's one of the reasons why Barton Pond was scheduled to open in this particular area, because you have schools like Leesville Road Elementary, Hillburn also has 8 trailers on its campus as well. So looking at trying to provide relief to some of the schools with trailers. So for not using trailers on a school campus, what will they be used for? They can be used for storage, but most likely they will be taken offline and they will not be used for instructional purposes. They will not have students in them for classes. You know, part of the issue that we have with removing trailers is there is a very high cost to moving trailers, whether it's on a campus or off of the campus, and we don't have a lot of money budgeted to be able to address those all at once. And so we have a plan with the district that will be working to try to remove those trailers in time off of the campuses. But as they're not used, we can also reserve the right to open them back up should the enrollment in a particular area increase unexpectedly. We will have the available seats on the campus. Great question. Stability transfers. Yes, they are guaranteed. So if you are eligible for a stability transfer and you submit the request during the appropriate time period, we will guarantee you a seat back at that school. That is correct.
That's all the questions so far, Glenn.
Okay.
If anybody else has any last questions, you can drop them in the chat.
Again, really appreciate you coming out, taking the time to ask the questions, provide feedback. Continue to do so online. Staff will certainly consider it, and we look forward to presenting draft 2 on November 16th. Had some questions about, how do we receive information? Staff will reach out to families. As a principal gets named, We will certainly reach out to families to make them aware who are proposed to be assigned to the school, as well as any tour information or any other information that is going on at the school. We will reach out to those families to make them aware. Once a principal is assigned to the new school, families that are proposed to be assigned there will likely start to get emails and or phone calls to just make them aware of upcoming events and question and answer sessions. So where do you pre-register? So you pre-register at your 21-22 base school. So if you go to the address lookup tool and click on the 2021-22 base attendance areas, that will be the school that you would go pre-register. So if you are assigned to the new school based on the reassignment plan, you would then automatically just be assigned there if you pre-registered already at your current base. Question about the map for Barton. Someone asked for this map to be posted. There you go. So good question. So if you were assigned to a magnet school, are you able to participate in the magnet programs at the school? Yes, all students, even if you are not a magnet student assigned to a magnet school, they all get to, base students, transfer students, magnet students, everyone gets to participate. When will a PTA be established for a new school? Again, that would be a question for the principal once they are assigned to the school. Someone made had a question about pre-registering, but needing to handle it at Baileywick Elementary. If you just send us your information, I will have a staff member from student assignment walk you through that process, okay? There was a question about Pine Hollow switching to traditional. I have not made any comments about that, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. I do know that we have had discussions with the board regarding year-round schools and the purpose of year-round schools. So I would advise parents to just follow along with those conversations as they progress. Good question. Would children on 2 different calendars qualify as a hardship request? Certainly. Staff will work with you to provide, to put your children on a similar calendar. It may not be the particular calendar of your choice, but it will certainly be something that is considered during a hardship transfer request. I apologize if I get thrown off of here, but my battery seems to be going low and it's plugged in and it's not working. I'm just going to need 1 second to plug in. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. All right, so we had some questions. Umstead Ridge community was added to Leesville High and Middle, but Lake End, which was closer, was not. We were reconsidering including that community. We are looking at all of the areas in and around the Umstead Park there and going out towards the airport. As you start to go down 70, I certainly think over time that would be another area that we would consider looking at longer term. When will principal be named for Barton's Pond? I'm not sure on the timeline for that, but I can certainly work with the assistant superintendent and get you an answer on that. No, I got it. Thanks.
Any other last questions?
Once again, thank you for coming to provide feedback and questions. Again, Granicus is the best way to continue to communicate with us as we progress through draft 2 and all the way up to a final vote. So we look forward to getting more questions and feedback as the process goes along. Did we have any more questions, Corrali?
I think one more. Nicole Lukansky, will you submit your question again? I'm not seeing it.
Okay, what's the purpose of assigning students from Barton into Leesville High School? So looking at trying to provide relief to Western Wake schools, students that Western Wake schools can apply to Barton as a magnet, and it is a popular magnet choice with Western Wake families. So in an effort to provide more magnet seats at Barton, we had proposed that students from the base of Barton in and around the airport to be base assigned to Leesville High School. And so that was the purpose for that particular proposal. Okay. So the stability rules apply. So if you have a child that is going to be attending the school when the rising ninth grader would be entering. So if you had a 12th grader that would be graduating and then a rising ninth grader coming up, they would not qualify for the stability rules. We had gotten another question about bell schedules. The bell schedules are produced by the transportation department, and they'll make that presentation. I don't know the exact date that they'll make that, but I know it'll be closer towards the spring. As soon as we have information on the bell schedules, though, we will contact families to make them aware of it.
One more question, Glenn.
Okay. That last question, do we know what particular slide they're talking about, or what schools? They talk about the utilization number going lower, but the numbers don't change. I'm not sure I follow.
Glenn, I think I know what that's about.
Okay.
There's a question where the slide lists capacity, and I think they're thinking of enrollment, that the enrollment would change in the plan, but the capacity wouldn't. If you look at some of those numbers where you have all the schools listed for Barton Pond.
So help me understand that again, Mr. Haggerty. I'm sorry. So when they say, when you look at, so the capacity will not change, right? That's a stagnant number. That's the design capacity of the school. The utilization would change based on the projected enrollment at the particular school. So as students are projected to be assigned in 2022, again in 2024, based on residential growth in the particular area, cohorts of students coming through, that would affect those numbers as we project forward. So that's why you may see a particular change. If you don't see a change in a number, and I'm trying to look for one in particular that doesn't have a change, that would necessarily mean that the number of students that are coming into the school equals out to the number of students that would be leaving the school for that particular cohort. If this particular person wants to share a little bit more, I can have staff reach out directly and explain.
Any final questions? We have one more, Glenn.
Who votes on the draft proposal? So the board members will vote. We will bring a final draft to the board on December 7th, and they will have a final vote whether to approve or not approve the final plan.
I'm going to share a slide with contact information for everything that we've talked about tonight. And that'll be it. Thank you guys so much for attending. I'm posting this slide now.
So thank you for participating.
Again, Granicus is wcpss.granicus.ids.com. Our enrollment proposal website is wcpss.net/2022 enrollment proposal. And if you have any feedback or questions, you can ask Calvin Hooker, chooker@wcpss.net. Thank you all. Have a good night.